Karen, let's say that you've decided that you really need to leave now, the abuse is that bad. What should you grab and who should you call if you only have a very short amount of time to get out?
Well, if you're in immediate danger to get out of the home, first of all, you need to grab your keys, grab your kids, grab any cash that you might have available, grab your medications. If you have time to grab, a day's worth of clothes, that would be nice. But if you don't, then just get out of the house, because your life is more valuable than really anything else, and leave. If there's been a crime that's been committed, call the police. But after you've left the house, because you don't want to put yourself or your children in danger any more than you already are. Because if you're fleeing for your safety, then the sooner you can get out of the house, the better. Now, if you do have a little bit of time, then you might be able to do things like grab your kids' birth certificates, grab your birth certificate, grab any type of paperwork like on the home or any properties that you own, things like that. Grab toiletries, things that will get you by for the next few days that you're going to need. Things like that would be important, but that takes a little bit of planning, and if you have the time, that's great. If you don't have the time, then leave it. You can always call the police and have them come back with you, and stay there with you while you pick up a few things, if you're able to do that, while you get the kids to a safe place so that they're taken care of, while the police escort you back to the home so that you can pick up those items that'll be necessary, that you'll need so that you can stay out of the home.
Okay, if you don't feel comfortable calling your family or 911, who should you call and where should you go?
Well, a lot of times you've been intimidated and you've been pulled away from your family and friends. So a lot of times you feel like there isn't anybody that you can call. A lot of times people will call a local shelter. A lot of times if people don't want to call law enforcement, sometimes there are agencies around that you can find in the phone book or find on the computer or your iPad nowadays that will give you information. There's 800 numbers where you can look up, or websites that you can look up for domestic violence assistance, and information where if you don't physically want to go there, they can refer you to locations that you can go to get assistance.
So Karen, it's kind of intimidating. You think you want to go to a women's shelter, but there's no address, which means you have to talk to someone, and you can't just show up. Why is that?
Well, shelters can't give out that information to the general public because it's not safe for the women that are physically there trying to get away from their abusers. And the reason is that if everybody knew where the shelter was, then all the abusers would show up and nobody would be safe. So, there's only certain people that do know where those women's shelters are located, and that's just for the safety and security of the staff and for the women and children that are housed there.
Okay, and are shelters just for poor women, or do middle class and upper class women, where do they go?
Shelters are for everybody. It doesn't matter if you're rich, if you're poor, what race, religion, none of that matters. Anybody and everybody can go to a shelter and get assistance. Anybody and everybody can call the 800 numbers or reach out to domestic violence awareness programs or the local shelters, the national domestic violence hotlines. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter if you're here legally. It doesn't matter if you're here illegally. None of that matters. You're not going to get deported. You're not going to have problems with law enforcement. You're not going to get put on a bus and get sent back to Mexico. And I know a lot of men get, threaten their women with that, but none of that's going to happen. Domestic violence victims are going to get the protection and the help that they need. It doesn't matter who they are.
So you talked a little bit about getting deported, but a lot of women are Americans and are having these problems. What if their abuser is holding other things over their head that is blackmail in terms of maybe not so flattering photos, or maybe the woman did something questionably legal at some point and they're holding that over their head?
All those issues can be resolved and taken care of, because nobody should have to be threatened or remain in an abusive relationship just because of something maybe they did that was questionable in the past. And if in fact somebody puts something questionable on the web, or they are threatening to harm them in any way because of something that they did in the past, then those guys should be prosecuted for that. And they should contact law enforcement to help them with those issues.
And people at the shelters would be able to help them with that as well?
Absolutely.